Shalom, welcome to GMS Guys on the Streets. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakwadash, whom I worship. Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this word in sincerity and in truth, who rule well and are still on the highways and byways in faith, in sincerity, even unto death. And they're still pushing this work like they're supposed to do. Alright, salutations to all the Akim, both affiliated and not affiliated with GMS, who speak and preach in faith and sincerity in the name of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakwadash, like GMS. Salutations to all you Akim. If you believe, keep pushing on. Alright, even unto the end. That's how you're going to know if you are the Lord's chosen. I'm Elder Run from the GMS New York camp, and this is just another lesson. This lesson here is dealing with EMPs, an electromagnetic pulse, and I'm going to go into what it is and how this can affect everyone globally, you know, and these are some of the things that we just have to be aware of, you know. This is part of Esau's sword, and we have to be knowledgeable of what they create and what they try to do, you know, and or of their plans or whatever. Now we know we're not gonna worry too much because Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is in control of all things down here on earth, and well, Satan and his demons, his servants, they can't do nothing without the Most High. We understand that, and that's the level, brothers, in the faith that you have to come to grips with. So that way you're not stressing and worrying and all that. For all these things is categorized as lack of faith. You are to build your faith up daily. All right, that's your goal in the faith. All right, so with that, what you see here on this is my computer screen, and that's an electromagnetic pulse image. I just typed in EMP, this came up. Okay, now let's get into it. I have a video queued up, got some scriptures in the chamber. It's locked and loaded, ready to go. So let's do it.
Magnetic pulse attack has been brought before Congress as a very real threat to the United States electrical infrastructure. EMPs have been referenced in movies like Ocean's 11, The Matrix, and Broken Arrow. In addition, fictional books like Going Home and 1 Second After use the concept of an EMP attack as a catalyst to create the collapse of society as we know it. In this video, we'll discuss 5 things you need to know about EMPs, and we'll focus on separating fact from fiction. The knowledge about EMPs has been around for quite some time. In recent years, it has been brought up by both Rick Santorum and Ben Carson in the January 2016 GOP debate as a potential scenario that could happen to the U.S. should such rogue nations such as North Korea or Iran get nuclear capabilities. In this video, we'll discuss 5 things you should know about an EMP event. Number 1, what is an EMP event? Number 2, who has this technology? Number 3, what would happen if an EMP attack were launched against the United States? How probable is an EMP attack against the United States? And number 5, what can be done to prepare for an EMP event? So let's jump in. So what is an EMP? An electromagnetic pulse, also sometimes called a transient electromagnetic disturbance, is a short burst of electromagnetic energy. Such a pulse's origination may be a natural occurrence or man-made and can occur as a radiated electric or magnetic field or a conducted electrical current, depending on the source. EMP interference is generally disruptive or damaging to electrical equipment, and at higher energy levels, a powerful EMP event such as a lightning strike can damage physical objects such as buildings and aircraft structures. Okay, so what does that matter to you? The key concern with EMPs is the effect it has on electronics and our electrical grid. The electrical grid in the United States is not capable of handling such a large-scale EMP or coronal mass ejection, or CME, which I'll talk about in just a moment. It would take time to recover from such an event, as electronic equipment used to control generating units would have to be replaced. Such spare parts are not commonly carried in volume in a power plant for wholesale circuit board replacement. In the case of the electrical transformers for a power grid, the length and intensity of the EMP or CME would be the overriding concern as to whether critical damage to the equipment occurred. The grid is hardened for lightning strikes, but not for a large-scale CME or EMP. There's been CMEs in the last 20 years, and Canada normally bears the brunt of the problem due to their proximity to the northern pole. The concern with an EMP is that if one were used over a city or region, it would possibly destroy all electronics which are not hardened. The word possibly is used as so many factors must come together for an EMP to be a real threat. The distance of travel for an EMP is normally line of sight. However, due to the effects on a power grid, it can travel through a grid to the furthest point, which could be many miles from the event itself. The effects of an EMP were actually experienced on the island of Oahu in Hawaii shortly after 11 p.m. on July 2, 1962. It was at this time that a thermonuclear weapon was tested over the Johnson Atoll, and subsequent EMP destroyed around 300 streetlights in Oahu. Another natural phenomenon similar to an EMP is a CME, or coronal mass ejection. For this video, we'll discuss on EMPs, but many of the effects of a CME could have the same impact as an EMP. So, who has this EMP technology? Well, technically the countries that possess nuclear capabilities have this capability. There are 8 sovereign nation states that have successfully detonated nuclear weapons. In order of acquisition of nuclear weapons, these are the United States, the Russian Federation, the United Kingdoms, France, and China. 3 states that were not parties to the treaty have conducted nuclear tests: India, Pakistan, and North Korea. Israel is also presumed to have nuclear weapons, though it maintains a policy of deliberate ambiguity regarding this. While there are additional options to deliver an EMP without nuclear weapons, their capabilities are minimal. What would happen if an EMP weapon were used against the United States? As a nation, we have experienced technological leaps and bounds over the last few decades, and our infrastructure has become more and more reliant on these technologies. Farms can now produce crops at 40 times the yield that they could just 100 years ago due to the advancements in equipment, pesticides, and fertilizers. Our power production facilities have become very dependent on computers to run many of the systems as well, and are dependent on these modern technologies as we've moved away from the old analog systems. If the electrical infrastructure were to be crippled or completely destroyed, the results would be devastating. Everything you take for granted on a daily basis, food delivery, trucking, sewage, internet, cell phones, are all dependent on these systems working. At the moment, very little has been done to harden these systems against any kind of man-made EMP or CME. For nations wishing to inflict a large-scale impact on our nation, an EMP weapon would have a profound impact on our nation. While the military has taken steps to harden their equipment against such an event, very little has been done in the civilian population to ensure the equipment that runs a critical infrastructure is protected. If our entire infrastructure were compromised, the systems in place to keep us alive would fail, and the recovery could take a significant amount of time, potentially years. What would a successful EMP look like? I would recommend you read the E.M.P. Commission, which I'll provide a download link to in the description below. In the report, it provides a very detailed breakdown of an EMP and what the country needs to do to prepare against this threat. It's a good read, even if you just want to skim through it. And how far would an EMP set us back? Depending on which report you read, the expectation is that 90% of the U.S. population would die within the first 12 to 24 months if the entire grid were to go down. That's something to strongly consider. So, how probable is an EMP? In May of 2015, Peter Pry warned Congress that this type of attack on American soil would kill approximately 9 out of 10 people through starvation, disease, and societal collapse. In his scenario, an EMP resulting from a high-altitude nuclear detonation, while possible, is not very probable. If someone bent on hurting us were to pull this off, they would need a ballistic missile and nuclear weapons. The missile would need to be an intercontinental ballistic missile that was launched from their soil, or they need to have a platform that was within range of the United States. The probability that a rogue nation or terrorist group could develop the technology in order to pull this off is nearly impossible. There are 3 primary things that have to be considered. Number 1, it requires a sophisticated rocket capable of lifting a payload of nuclear material that could produce an explosion in the hundreds of kilotons or megatons range, which is a significant amount of weight. The nuclear bombs North Korea has been testing are significantly smaller than this. Number 2, it requires a ballistic missile that can deliver the payload to a very specific place. Too high, and the process of dislodging electrons won't work. Too low, and the area that's affected is smaller, meaning that it can only affect the city or area detonated over. And number 3, it requires a willingness to bear the brunt of the action. If a country like North Korea or Iran were to launch one of these missiles from their country, assuming they could somehow even come up with the technology to pull this off, it would be obvious in a matter of seconds from the time the missile is launched and the satellites detected the launch. At which point, countermeasures would be taken with appropriate retaliatory measures, meaning they'd pretty much wipe these nations off the face of the earth. One of my favorite fiction novels regarding EMPs, a book called 1 Second After. The storyline describes nuclear missiles being launched from container ships around the U.S. Again, as we described above, the probability that a terrorist group or rogue nation could amass this technology to build a rocket capable of delivering a nuclear payload in the exact spot with hundreds of megatons is highly improbable. If I were a betting man, I'd put my money on cyber attacks crippling the U.S. electrical grid. We've already seen this happen around various power plants around the United States. Utilities have had cyber incidents like ransomware attacks. These type of incidents are increasing in frequency and could be a greater threat in the future. What can be done to prepare for an EMP event? Well, first, the grid could be hardened to withstand EMPs. Conservative numbers to harden the grid could be as little as 3% more than existing capital investment for electrical grid upgrades, which would translate to about $1 to $3 billion per year. There have been many complaints nationwide on how dilapidated our nation's infrastructure has become, and considering how much money we invest in frivolous programs already, in my opinion, this would be money well spent. You could also build a Faraday cage to house your electrical equipment in. A Faraday cage or a Faraday shield is an enclosure used to block electrical fields. Faraday cages can be made to protect your personal electronics, are not that difficult to make. While getting into the specifics of building one of these is beyond the scope of this video, you can easily research online by simply Googling how to build a Faraday cage, and I plan on creating a video specifically for this in the not so distant future.
We're not worried about all that.
Gives you a high level of EMPs. I know there's a lot of material in here to dive.
We've got the angels to protect us.
The threat of an EMP has been brought up recently within politics, and while the possibility of an EMP strike against our country is possible, I don't really think it's that probable. I always enjoy the community's feedback, so please feel free to drop a line in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like or share on social media. As always, be safe.
Alright, so you see, that was a video explaining what an EMP is, and we don't got to worry about that. All right, we have a force field, right? A force shield to protect us, and that's the angels. Okay, this is Psalms 34, chapter 34, verse 7, and it reads, "The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them." So what does that mean? That's called an angelic force shield. Okay? We don't have to deliver us from what? Deliver us from any evil, any device that Esau, the devil, Satan's children here on earth, that they have devised against us. We don't have to worry about all that. But it's good to know about all these things, because these things are going to be happening round about us. Okay? And we are not to fear. We are just to watch what the Lord, the judgment that the Lord brings upon the wicked on this earth. Another Psalms. Give me a second. Psalms 91 verse 7, and it states, "1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. See, so we will only see it with our eyes, you know. And yeah, we're gonna be like, oh fuck. I mean, you know, seeing the power of the Lord, man. In plain sight, that's yeah. We're gonna be in shock and awe, but glorifying the Lord at the same time. In fact, I'm gonna read Psalm 91, the whole psalm. That's a bad psalms, because these are faith boosting psalms, man, or scriptures, right? And it reads, He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Where is the secret place of the Most High? The secret place of the Most High is here, within the faith, within the truth, man. And it's speaking about Israelites. It's not speaking about the other nations. We you know, you brothers that are in the faith, in the know, you know that. So when you come into this faith, you're getting many perks, you know. You're getting a lot of perks, and some of those perks is being shielded by the mighty angels that are around us every day and every night, protecting us from danger and evil, man. Okay? Those who are outside the faith, well, they're vulnerable to Satan and his demons, man, and they'll have their way with them, because the Most High handing them over unto Satan, because they're wicked. I'm talking about the 2/3 of our people. That's why 2/3 of our people are gonna burn, right, at the end, by the thermonuclear destruction. Verse 2: I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my power. And what's His name? Yahweh. What's His Son's name? No, that was worthy to lay His life down, to shed His blood on the cross for us. Yahushai. Right? In Him will I trust. That's right. That's why we say Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. The noisome pestilence is talking about the thermonuclear destruction at the end. But also the snare of the fowler. The snare of the fowler entails all his devices, man, that he has planned for his new world order to capture Israel, man, to try to destroy us, right? The RFID chip, EMPs, and last of all, the thermonuclear missile, right? He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. And those are the feathers are speaking about the chariots, man. The Lord is going to protect us with the chariots, the angels, okay? That's how they're going to be protecting us, man, through spiritual power. And under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. You see? The truth. What's the truth? That we are the children of Israel. What's the truth? That we are the elect of the Heavenly Father. We trust and believe in His name. We're confident in His salvation, right? Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Now the arrow speaking about nuclear missiles. The terror by night could be an E.M.P. Out of many terrors, right? One of them could be an E.M.P, an electromagnetic pulse, could drop on one of our cities here in America, and you'll be shut. You won't have no cell phone, no, your car won't work, no electricity running through your house. If it happens in the winter, you're fucked, because brothers and sisters that live in the regions in America that gets very cold during the winter, extremely cold, you're not gonna have no heat. Okay. No hot water. All these things. See, brothers and the sisters who believe, these are the things that should be coming into your mind. Don't get caught up with the everyday bullshit. Okay, because the everyday bullshit can stop, boom, within 1 hour. Alright? And total hell could break loose. So you have to always be, you have to operate within the matrix, but always know at any time all hell could break loose. That's your mentality you're supposed to be in while you're in the faith, you know? Because your eyes are open to these things. Verse 6, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, that's diseases, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. That's talking about the nuclear destruction. Okay, noonday is high noon, when Esau is at his highest peak. The Most High is going to take him out, take him down. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come near you, near thee, or nigh thee. It won't touch you. Why? Because those angels, that spiritual force field is around you. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua B'Shem Rakakwadash, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come near your dwelling, or where you live. For he, like in Egypt, right? When the Lord was bringing those 10 plagues upon Pharaoh and the Egyptians, one of the plagues was the plague of darkness, and it was thick darkness. In the Apocrypha, it says that the darkness was so thick that they were able to feel it. But in Goshen, where we lived, where the Israelites lived, all right, pretty much slave quarters, so to speak, we had light. We were able to see. The Lord was with us. All right. Oh, and that goes good with this topic here, because an EMP will cut out all your lights. So you see, so wherever the Most High, wherever the people of the Most High are who trust and believe in Him, you will have light. You will be taken care of. Okay. So what was that? There, remember, brothers and sisters, there is no new thing under the sun. So one of the plagues of Egypt was an EMP, a spiritual EMP. The Lord caused a darkness to come upon Egypt. Okay? And they heard many strange noises, and they saw apparitions and demons and all kind of hearing scary things, man. Where some of them died of heart attacks, you know? We don't have to worry about that. Because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua B'Shem Rakakwadash, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels, I just brought that out, right? The angel of the Lord encampeth round about who? Them that fear him and that love him, man. And will deliver us from evil. All right, for he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, and this is what Satan came to Yahushua about when Yahushua was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. He was tempting Yahushua. Yahushua quoted this scripture to him. They shall bear the angel. Satan quoted this to Yahushua, and Yahushua said that it is also written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy power. So that's how you battle Satan, man. Scripture per scripture, man. Right? Precept upon precept, line upon line. That's how you battle these demons. And the warfare is in your mind, man. Alright? They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet, because he hath set his love upon me, upon us. Therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. What is the name? We GMS, alright, the Hebrew Israelites of GMS, and other groups as well. But especially GMS, we harbor, and we are the only ones who cement in the faithful's head, minds, and their brains that the name of the Lord is important. His name is Yahweh. His son's name, who is our Savior, all right, is Yahweh Shai. All right, that's their name. Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. That's the name, and that's the only name whereby we may be saved. That's written in Acts. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. So in the times of Jacob's trouble, when you call upon the name of the Lord, guess what? You and your family will be saved. Your household will be saved. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Okay, so that's a powerful psalm. We used to read that psalm a lot, going back, in the old school. Okay. Now this is Job 5:12. It says he disappointeth the devices of the crafty. The crafty is Esau, right? His magi's, his so-called wise men. They're not wise at all. The Illuminati, so to speak, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise, which is the New World Order, and all and everything that entails the New World Order, right? The RFID chip, EMPs, agendas, whatever. The Lord's gonna disappoint them all, man. All right. I wanted to bring out 2 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter and the 11th verse. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us. That's why we are to know about everything that Esau do. All right, we're not to be like these simple ass niggas in the hood, man. That all they want to do is party, drink, smoke, do drugs, commit adultery, kill their brother, be disrespectful to their parents, and be all out wicked, right? That's all they worry about. Be ignorant. That's not us. When you come into the faith, that's that old man. You gotta put that off, man. And the scriptures say that the old man is renewed day by day. So every day you're supposed to be better, get better. Your aim and your goal is to be better, get better in this faith, in the faith of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us. And who is Satan? Satan, now you can say, yeah, it's a spiritual demon, Satan, but his children here on earth, man. Esau, man. The so-called white man. And all that he's trying to do to gain total control of us, of Israel, right? To do away with us. That's their main goal. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. That's right. That's why, brothers, the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakak got on the other apostle Tahar to tell us we are to do these 3 videos, a week, but do as many videos as you can per week, and flood the internet with this truth, man. Take it over, because it was created for us, for the word of the Lord to get out there, so that the elect can be gathered together and at the end be saved. All right. Now, in 2 Corinthians 2nd chapter, that give me a second. Right here. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. When you go to the tools and you look up that word devices, the word is
Strong's G 3540 Naima.
So it says Na'ima. Na'ima. Alright, and that's the Strong's entry G3540. And it says a mental perception or thought, which it should have really said an evil mental perception or thought, because all the thoughts of the wicked are evil. Oh, there you go, an evil purpose. That which thinks, the mind, thoughts, and purposes. Because everything, like Yahushua said, begins in the mind, right? And then they put it to work. Then they put it to work, man. And they create things to further their thoughts. Okay, like EMPs, the RFID chip. You know, all these things they create to gain further control of the world's population. But we're not ignorant of these things. We're constantly watching. We're constantly researching, right? Isaiah 33:6, and it reads, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that's his name, is his treasure. So knowledge, right, and wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that's the first thing. That's the secret place of the Most High, man. All right, and it's all spiritual, brothers and the believing sisters out there. All right, that's key. Now, EMP goes into the one of the blessings that the Most High gave unto Esau, right? This is after Isaac blessed Jacob, right, with all the blessings that he was supposed to get. Same blessings that the Most High gave to our forefathers Abraham and Isaac. It got passed down to Jacob, and then from Jacob on to the 12 patriarchs, which are the fathers of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, which entails the blessings and the glory that is to come in the kingdom. All right, here on earth. It says Genesis 27 verse 39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. This is the blessing that Isaac gave to Esau, right? The fatness of the earth means the best parts of the earth. And the way that Esau got it was through bloodshed, right? Rape, robbery, and murder. That's how we know who the Edomites are today. Nobody fits that MO better than the so-called white man. And of the dew of heaven above, give me a second, verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion. Esau has a dominion now, right? He's been going on for a good while now, but his time is up. He's on borrowed time right now. That thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that happened, because it was King David, Solomon. You know, we had Esau in slavery then, and then after that they broke they rebelled and broke their yoke broke the yoke that we had on him, and he started. That's when he started coming into some kind of dominance, some kind of ruling. All right, some kind of rulership and kingdom for himself. So the main part I wanted to bring out here was in the 40th verse, where it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live. So there's nobody greater and better than Esau when it comes to the sword, The modern day sword is the gun. We always say the modern day sword is the gun. Sword is the gun, but it's more than that. It's his overall technology, man. I mean, Esau, and through the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, hopefully I can make a video on that, man. I'll call it this, and by thy sword shalt thou live. Esau, when it comes to technology, man, this dude is bad. You got niggas in the hood that think they could take this man out. You got these radical Israelites out there. They want to raise up, come against Esau and raise up arms against Esau. Are you crazy? They got weapons that will melt you, man. There's a video called Panama Deception, man. When they went to Panama, I believe it was what was that? In the late 1980s, and they went up in there with these weapons, man, like lasers and shit that actually melted people out there, man. So you don't want to come. You don't. This man is too. When it comes to carnal weaponry, this man is too powerful. That's why we need Yahweh B'Ashem Yahushua. All right. So any person that comes to you talking about we gotta take this man out by way of force, carnal force, get away from him, man. Let him die alone. All right. No, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but spiritual, right? That's what it says in Ephesians. So pretty much, let me see. I believe I brought out everything that I wanted to bring out, and yeah. Let me see if we got another video dealing with this.
If you want to survive an EMP, the first thing you need to do is assess your current location. What will your neighborhood look like 3 days after an EMP, 3 weeks after an EMP, and 3 months after an EMP? Remember, an EMP means the end of civilization as we know it. Without power, cars, or computers, we'll have no police, no grocery stores, no municipal water, no sewer services, no fire, no EMS. If you're in a metropolitan area, the images we've been watching from Venezuela of looting and food riots, those are all going to be happening in your neighborhood within the first day or two after an EMP. 3 weeks into the crisis, cities will be filled with the stench of rotting corpses. Without water, you can survive roughly 3 days, and the majority of the population has no idea how to filter water, purify water. 3 weeks after the EMP, people in the cities with no survival skills will either die of dehydration or a waterborne illness. The people who are still alive will be either those with survival skills who've prepared beforehand or the hardcore criminal element who've taken what they need by violence. You do not want to try to ride out the aftermath of an EMP near a major population center. Must-do number 2. Decide where you're going to ride out the chaos. After assessing your current location, you have to decide if you're going to be safe in that location for the foreseeable future. If the answer is no, you have to develop an alternative plan. This is a huge task, so start thinking about it now. Do you have friends or family who live in a rural location that you can go to within 24 hours? Remember that you probably won't have a vehicle unless you own a car built before 1980. Even then, you want a contingency plan. If you're planning to stay in your current home until D-Day, you'll have to bug out the second the EMP hits, because your window of opportunity to get ahead of the chaos will be very short. I would expect cities to become violent in the first 24 hours and more rural areas to break down within 3 to 5 days. So if you're planning to travel a long distance, a bike is probably your best option. Make sure you're riding your bike regularly and that you're keeping the tires filled with air. Bugging out to locations more than 100 miles away shouldn't even be considered. A big problem for many is that they work in the city and they can't uproot their family, which would cause a major personal financial crisis. And doing all of that for a threat that may never happen. If that's you, consider moving to the suburbs. You'll have to pay for it with a long commute, but your reward will likely be a larger property at a lower price. Hopefully you'll be able to find a home with more room for storing supplies and a bigger yard to plant fruit trees and start a garden. While it's not the best solution, it will raise your chances of survival. And in a scenario like an E.M.P, every little advantage can be the difference between life or death. Must do number 3. Now that you've decided where you're going to ride out the collapse, start stocking that place up. If you elected to bug out to the country with friends or relatives, sit down with them and develop a plan. They probably don't want a ton of your junk cluttering up their house, but they might be open to you purchasing a storage shed and placing it on their property. You can stock up a year's worth of long-term storage food, ammo, clothing, first aid supplies, and toiletries that aren't susceptible to the climate. Since a storage shed isn't climate controlled, stick to things that won't be affected by extreme temperatures. If you stock up shampoo and it freezes outside, it's probably going to bust and make a mess when it thaws out. I did a show on food storage last week, so if you missed it, go back and listen to it for great tips on food storage. Finally, stock up on seeds of foods that grow easily in your area. Do the research now while you have YouTube and the internet. Start a small garden now, just to start learning what the challenges are that you'll have in trying to produce your own food. The learning curve is steep, and if you wait till game day, you probably won't make the cut to the 10% that survive. Must do number 4. Figure out how you're going to get water to the place where you've selected to ride out the mayhem. It's impossible to store enough water to survive long term. You have to find a reliable water source. If you're near a lake, pond, or stream, figure out how you're going to filter the water and purchase the filters and materials you'll need. If you have a well, either for your house or for irrigation, you can have a hand pump installed for around $150, everything included. That's the pump, the base, and the installation. The least reliable source of water would be a rain catch system, because there you're dependent on the weather for your very survival. You can purchase food-grade 55-gallon barrels either online or from Craigslist to catch the runoff from your gutters. But this water still needs to be purified because you don't know what the birds have been doing on your roof. You'll need to store as much water as you can every time it rains because you never know when the next dry spell is coming. Must do number 5. Secure your retreat. Regardless of how far you are, desperate people are going to come knocking. If you're planning on taking others in, make provisions for them now. Do not alter your plan after the E.M.P. happens. Obviously, you'll need the proper weapon systems to fend off attacks and looters. You'll need enough people to maintain a 24-hour guard. One more thing that I want to give you, and we'll think of it more as a bonus tip for surviving an E.M.P. than a must-do, but you want to think about bartering. You don't want to, this isn't something you want to depend on. You want to have all your supplies,
Alright, and that's Esau, because Esau's carnal, the Most High is not with them. We don't got to worry about all that. Okay? In those days, I read Psalms 91, and the other Psalms, read Psalms 34 verse 7, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth them. That's why we are not to worry about all that, man. Alright? So it's just good to know, of all these things, so that, well, we could be prepared, right, mentally, but also with the knowledge, wisdom of Yahweh Bashem, Yahushua Bashem, Rakakwadash, strengthening our spirits when all these things happen, because, brothers and sisters, these things will happen and are going to happen. So it's the time of Jacob's trouble. It's a time, and it's going to come upon all peoples, but the Lord's only worrying about his people. We are only worried about our people, man. Alright? Let's get that straight. So, I just want to bring that out. And I hope I hope that you were edified, and hopefully, because my thing is in the next year, right? 2018, a lot of things happen, so we are all these things like EMPs and the RFID chip, all these things more than likely will happen at a greater scale next year in 2019, and all these things are all possible, man, right? Don't rule anything out. So January 2019 could come in like with a big bang, right? So keep your eyes open, and I'm just doing the job of a watchman, right? So this has been another lesson. GMS Gals on the Streets, Elder Soccer Run, New York Camp. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you know every time that I put up a video. Shalom.